Hello Internet! Welcome to another episode of Romney's Reviews. Now, you could debate endlessly where the whole idea of the old badass in action films came from, but you can definitely say that Taken is one of the forerunners. I mean, you got a nice blend of action, both like very cerebral, intense action, as well as the typical high adrenaline gunfighting action. And then there's also the combinations of compelling drama, which having your lead be Liam Neeson is definitely good for that kind of film. And so, like a lot of other people, I enjoyed the original film, Taken. And so, at first I was skeptical when they announced that they were making a sequel because I just figured, well, what if they kill it? But as soon as I saw the trailers, I was pretty won over, so I was pretty excited when going into this film. And, well, it met my expectations, and it was well worth the anticipation. In the case of the story, best way to describe it, well, first thing I have to say is that it really builds upon what was established in the previous film. And, like I said, in the trailers, it actually takes a very creative thing where it actually shows like, oh, they're going to get revenge. Now, although a lot of the stuff in this film feels like a rehash, it's actually a very well-written rehash. It's kind of a rehash done right. And one of the major things that I liked is that there was a lot more of the intellectual actions involved, not just Liam Neeson going around saying, "Where is she? Where is she?" Probably not the best impersonation, but oh well. Point being that there's a lot more of the mental, more spy-like things, like for example how he keeps track of where he's going, how the car is driving, what sounds he's paying attention to, as well as using grenades. I'm not kidding, using grenades is kind of like echolocation. That was awesome. And so the story, it takes what was established in the first film and adds a lot of layers of both intellectual action and good drama. I mean, one of the favorite things I liked about this film is that the daughter actually does stuff in this film. She's no longer just the damsel in distress, she actually is a proactive character. So that's something I really liked in this film. From a technical aspect, a lot of the stuff is, well, pretty standard. I mean, it's shot well, it's edited well, it doesn't fall prey to some of the other action pitfalls, like there's no super shaky cam, but there is some stuff with the editing towards the beginning of the film that I didn't quite enjoy, mostly because, I mean, it's understandable that you don't want your opening credit sequence intro to be very long, but in my opinion, they kind of rushed through that real quick, that they kind of rushed through a lot of different things. They didn't really let a lot of the atmosphere, a lot of the build-up kind of sink in, and there's even a scene in the movie that you can tell that they probably edited that way as the place where the title was gonna go, but then it got changed at the last minute. So that's one thing I didn't like about the editing, but one thing I did like about the editing is how a lot of the scenes that most other action films would have drawn out, it keeps it very short, very tight, and it makes sense, because I mean, Liam Neeson's not necessarily the youngest action star in the world, so they kind of have to accommodate, and if you were a professional, you wouldn't have a huge action scene draw out like that. You try to end it as quickly as possible. You try to knock out the bad guy or kill the bad guys in as short of time as possible, especially given the stakes in this film. And the editing really accommodates that, and that's one thing I noticed during it, especially during the whole climactic fist fight. I'm a bit of a sucker for fist fights, especially when they're done well, and so this one was actually really awesome, because instead of having this really drawn out one camera shot, all the cuts are nice and quick. I don't know why I like that, I like my cuts nice and quick. As for any other technical stuff, there's not really much else to really talk about, because I didn't notice so much of the music because I was more enthralled with a lot of the action and all that other stuff, so yeah, from a technical standpoint, the film does a very good job. Overall, this is a very enjoyable film. It builds upon what was established. It really feels organic in how things progress. I mean, while in the hands of other people, it may have been oh yeah, the revenge thing is just pulled out of nowhere. At least this one, they actually wrote it to have it make sense, where it's not just straight up, oh, there's this evil legion of evil constantly pursuing these guys. This guy, the main villain, is actually somewhat sympathetic in this film. It has a nice blend of high intense action, a lot of really more intelligent actions, as well as some actually genuinely compelling drama. However, it's really advised that you see the first film before seeing this, because Although, like, one, the film does not do any recaps or anything, but it does reference a lot of the stuff that happened in the first film. So if you're going in without having seen Taken, the original Taken, you're gonna get a little lost because it's almost like it's kind of two halves of the story. And so if you go in, you will enjoy it for like the action and stuff, but a lot of the dramatic elements just won't make sense unless you've seen the first film. So on my personal scale, I'm giving Taken 2 a 4 out of 5. Like I said, it's not very accessible to people who haven't seen the first one. There's also a couple of editing I wouldn't call them goofs, but just weird choices in the beginning of the film where they're kind of like rushing through like the opening credit sequence and even the title card. I mean, I understand you don't want to have that too long, but you definitely still want to have some build up to the reveal of the title. And there was a scene in the film where that would have been more appropriate with the way it was cut. And you can tell that's probably how they originally cut it. But again, it's still a pretty good film and I highly recommend it, especially if you enjoyed the first film. And yeah, I mean, it's Liam Neeson back in one of his good action roles and not like that other one where you had like that memory thing. I mean, that one wasn't that great. Now the only question is, how many memes are gonna pop up as a result of this film? Seriously, type in Liam Neeson memes and you'll be surprised how many pop up. Here's my favorite. He has trained both Obi-Wan Kenobi and Bruce Wayne. He is both Zeus and Aslan, making him a god in 2 religions. He also punches wolves, so why on earth would you try to kidnap his family? What are your favorite Liam Neeson memes? Comment below with your favorite Liam Neeson memes. That didn't go as smooth as I thought, but I don't care. With that said, that's it for this week's episode of Romney's Reviews. Hopefully I kept it really short this time to kind of offset the very, very long Frankenweenie review. Click here. So yeah, next week I'm going to be reviewing 7 Psychopaths. See you then.